Welcome to Humans in Western podcast. Today I'm joined by Azam, who is a fourth year computer science student who is currently on his internship. Hi Azam, how are you?
Hi, what's up? I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
Good. I'm kind of worried about midterm, but I think overall I've been pretty good. Yeah, so Azam, I was speaking to you earlier actually, and I was just wondering you were talking about a lot about your internship, something about Hatch. So what do you
Mhm.
actually do for your internship at Hatch?
Yeah, sure. So Hatch is it's an internship I'm doing just this fall semester, so like September to December. Hatch is basically like an engineering consulting company, so they have engineering projects around the world for like a variety of clients in like a bunch of different industries. So they have like a lot of civil engineers, a lot of mechanical engineers. I'm working there as a software engineer, so the work I do is sort of interconnected within all of the different areas at Hatch. And yeah, it's pretty cool the stuff I'm working on. Recently, what I've been doing is sort of building an API, which is sort of like a software you use to connect two different pieces of software. I don't know if I'm explaining that right, but just something basically to retrieve data from a data storage and then output it somewhere else. Just stuff like that. Yeah, I'm using a variety of different languages, but I like it a lot. I think that it's cool because I'm sort of learning a new thing every day, and there's a big problem-solving aspect. Yeah, one thing about my field, sort of being in computer science, is a lot of the learning you do is kind of done on the job. Doing things like internships and actually putting your technical skills to use in a real world environment is actually the best way to sort of learn and grow these skills and grow as a software developer. So it's definitely a really cool experience, and I feel like I'm learning a lot.
Yeah, I can definitely see that, and the way that you explain like APIs to me as like a med sci student, like you really simplified it, made it really understandable for me. So like I actually understand what you're talking about. I think oftentimes people just throw around like vocabulary, and I'm just like struggling trying to keep up. So
Right.
I can definitely see how like your expertise in this field has made it easier for you to explain those types of
Right.
things. And then you talk a lot
Yeah.
about like learning, right? Like learning in
hmm
regards to your internship. So like I was just like wondering like how is it like balancing both like a school and an internship? And is there anything you like about it and anything that like you don't like as much about it?
Um, I guess just comparing school versus doing an internship, I think that there's ups and downs. One thing about school that I've noticed is like in school, there's kind of a constant feeling of stress, I would say, or something like that, in the sense that you always have something due, and it's kind of like all the work you do is on your own time. But in internship, it's more sort of rigid in terms of like the structure, like when you're working, when you're not working, and stuff like that. And it's just a different, I guess, routine that is set based on that, like how you live your life. And there's definitely ups and downs. It's been fun doing this internship. I'm also looking forward to going back to school this winter, and then again doing more internships in the future. So I think it's good to have a balance of both. I'm happy that this internship is 4 months. I think that I like the fact that it's not too long, but at the same time, it's good enough where I can get a feel for what it's like working at this company and what it's like working in a role like this, and hopefully it can lead to better opportunities in the future, that type of thing.
Yeah, of course. Like I definitely see how it's like really nice to like kind of get like
hmm
your foot in the water, kind of like get a feel for like what it really feels like in the future. Um,
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm coughing. I'm kind of sick right now, so I'm glad I can't like transmit this
Yeah.
sickness to you through the screen. But I've actually spoken to like some of my other like computer science friends, right? And they
hmm
always talk about how like they like internships more than school because how internships they say that it offers more flexibility with your time because it's like from 9 to 5 you're working, but after that
Yeah.
it's like free time where you can go to the gym, you can do a bunch of like other things, and they really like compared to school
hmm
where it always feels like a constant like grind, even if you like enjoy the subject. Because you're putting in that time, you just learn the material, understand it, and then like just do tests after tests or like assignments after
Exactly.
assignments. So like
Exactly. Yeah,
I
that's a good
understand
point.
so much about like what you're saying. Maybe it's time
Yeah.
for me to consider an internship. Like it seems like a really cool experience.
Yeah,
And
that's a good point. I think a big factor as well is sort of the nature of your internship. Like for example, over the summer I worked an internship that was fully remote. So it was almost asynchronous in the sense that like I kind of just worked whenever I wanted to, or like I kind of was able to be a bit more flexible because it was remote. For my internship right now, it's like more in person that I have to go. And so I think that depends as well a lot. Like for a lot of tech jobs, most of the work you can do like is remote. You don't really necessarily need to be in the office, but for things like meetings and that, it's good to be in the office. But that's definitely a factor as well. But I agree as well that like once you're done, you're kind of done for the day. Um, or at least like there's not a feeling of stress, you know. It's more just like um doing things when you
Yeah,
can, when you please.
yeah, because I was talking to someone like once again. It's actually like the same CS trends, but then they mentioned how like they prefer more of like a hybrid setting compared to like a remote
Hmm.
setting because like they like
Hmm.
that experience of like being able to like go into office and like meet everyone, right? I understand that there's both like perks and like drawbacks about being fully remote. And so I was wondering about like you, right? What do you prefer? Do you like something that's like fully
Um,
like hybrid or like
yeah.
remote? Like, or
No,
let's
I
say
definitely
fully remote or
agree.
like hybrid?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree that hybrid is the way to go. So one thing about my internship over the summer, like it was remote, so it was good in the sense that I had a lot of flexibility in terms of like where I wanted to go from. Like, I was also doing research at London, right? So I could do in London and I could come back to Oakville. I could go back and forth and I could just do it however I wanted because it was fully remote. Um, but then during the in-person internship, you kind of just have to be in that area. Like even now, I'm not able to come up to London as much because I have this in-person internship. And then again, with working remotely, one of the downsides is that you don't really get to meet the other interns. Whereas right now, I have a pretty big connection with like the other interns I'm working with, and it feels a lot more real in a sense. And it's nice to build those connections too. So I think hybrid is definitely the ideal way to go. And like for my internship in the future, I'm definitely going to be looking for hybrid. And I think in general, that's sort of the way that most of these tech roles are going to be headed in the future, because I think it's just the best of both worlds.
Yeah, yeah, of course, I definitely agree. I think that like I can't imagine like working like a job for me personally where like I am not able to see other people. I really
Yeah.
like talking. I really like getting to know people. So like it would be like so much better for me personally to just like
Hmm.
meet more people, get
Yeah.
to know people, really establish that connection. So like so they don't feel
Hmm.
like coworkers, right? You know, they feel more like a family. And yeah, anyway, into like a previous point that we're talking about like schoolwork, right? I
Hmm.
was like just thinking about this actually, and I was like, how do your schoolwork and your internship experiences, I was wondering, do they actually complement each other? And do you find out one can help you perform better than the other?
Hmm. Um, so a thing with CS, computer science, is that like it's a very, very what's the word? Very volatile field in the sense that like things are kind of always changing, in terms of the things you need to know and in terms of like where it's headed as well. I think that it's a lot of stuff that can't really be taught in a school because things are always changing. You know, it's a very, very rapidly growing field and a very rapidly moving field. And so the way it kind of works is in our classes, we kind of focus on like um, very theoretical stuff, sort of high level. And, you know, there's a lot of math and a lot of stuff like that. And things like data structures and algorithms sort of give you the knowledge you need to learn more about computer science. It sort of covers the fundamentals, you know, in a sense. And then when you do things like internships and build projects and compete in hackathons or that type of stuff, that's when you can actually become familiar with the technologies themselves. A lot of these technologies that you actually would use in a real life environment. You know, for example, in my internship right now, I'm using this thing called ASP.NET, which is essentially a C sharp framework that you use for building APIs. But I've never learned about this in my schoolwork, but I've actually learned about C sharp in my school. So it's sort of building off of the fundamental knowledge that I get in school. But then again, like as opposed to many other fields, what's unique about computer science is that uh, it is very um, constantly changing and evolving, and there's lots of stuff that you just need to learn on the fly. And so that's why I think in this field, that's why it's so important to get internships and that type of outside experience, and that's why it's valued so much, is because that's where a lot of your real learning will actually take place, if that
Yeah,
makes sense.
yeah, I definitely understand that myself because over summer I actually work in a research lab, and
Hmm.
I noticed that for school it's exactly like how you describe it. It's a lot about learning like the theory behind stuff, the way that things work. But in practice, it doesn't always go the same way that theory goes. Theory
Hmm.
carries you to like a point in your knowledge where you can make predictions. But in practicality, I think unfortunately, things differ a lot from like my predictions. I think so many times when I
Yeah.
was first starting out at my research lab, I was just
Hmm.
wondering like why things weren't working, and it's not necessarily like the idea behind it, but it might be like the execution and stuff. And that was something that like
Yeah.
I really learned and I grew from. So that's why
Yeah.
I think it's also so important just to like always like no matter what job or like no matter what field you're in, it's always so important to get that hands-on experience and to be put in those like types of situations.
Yeah.
So that's how like you
100%.
grow as a person.
I have a good analogy. It's like reading a book on working out versus actually working out. Like you can read all you want, but to actually get the results, you have to actually do the thing. If that makes sense, you know? Like
Yeah.
yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, just talk about working out. Like I see some equipment in the background, right? So like you want to talk a bit more about that?
Yeah. So these are just they're called monkey bars. They're actually not for. They're actually for like I had these when I was like a little kid. They're not really meant for fully grown adults because they don't really carry my weight anymore. But like yeah, I used to swing around on these. Um, but yeah, how's your gym progress been going?
Like now that you mention it, actually, like I've been skipping a lot of days.
Okay,
I
honestly,
know over
fair.
the
You've been
summer,
busy. You've been busy.
yeah, but like I think for me, no matter how busy I am, if I want to do something like badly enough, I will find the time to do it.
Hmm.
So like I'm really hoping that like I can get back into it. I was talking to like a friend the other day, and he was
Yeah,
telling me that I should just go right before I go to bed. He's like, this is unhealthy, but it's like the best way to keep yourself like accountable. He's like, in the morning, if you don't wake up in time, you can always be like, oh, I didn't wake up in time, so I just can't go today. But if you go always before you're about to go sleep, you feel like that need to like you have like a checklist to complete, and you can't end the day without doing that checklist. So I might try
yeah,
doing that.
yeah. That makes
I
sense.
I, I really want to like like see the results without like
Yeah,
putting in like those hours at the gym. I guess like everyone's kind of like that, but I really want to get back into it. But
yeah,
actually like I've spoken to you in person before. I'm pretty impressed with your workout routine, right? Like how much time do you
yeah.
spend at the gym per day?
Um, well, these days I've honestly been not spending as much time. Like I think I've been going like maybe 3 to 4 times a week and like for an hour. Um, but I think it's more about just being like consistent in the long run. Like you don't necessarily need to be going 5 days a week, 6 days a week for like an hour and a half or 2 hours. It's more about how much time you put in like a year, you know. Even if there's weeks you can only go once or twice, it's just about staying consistent because there's always times where people have like stuff in the way, midterm season, stuff like that. And for me, when I was in school, like just last year, it's like midterm season would definitely slow down for me. Same with exam season, stuff like that. But I would try to just sort of fit in an hour here and there whenever I could. Also because like it just kind of helps me out personally. I feel like it makes me more um better at actually even studying and getting work done. Is just having that avenue to go and work out helps me be more productive in my other areas of school and everything like that. So it's just beneficial all around for me. But yeah, I think the main thing is just consistency. One thing I've heard is like if you don't go, or at least for me, like if I don't go for 3 days in a row, like the more of a gap you take, the harder it is to sort of get back into it, right? If you stop doing something for a couple weeks, it's going to be harder to get back in. But if you try to keep yourself going at least like once a week, maybe you'll still have that sort of routine going. And then when you have more time, you can sort of get back into it. And if you don't have enough time, you can go back out. But as long as you're just sort of staying consistent in the long term, you'll definitely start to see results, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I really feel that. Like, I really want to make it a routine again for me. Like for example, something that I did last year was when I was playing squash, right? And I
Yeah.
guess I'm starting it this year too. But I would just be like every week, no matter how busy I am, 2 hours. That's like
Hmm.
like that's all I'm committing, And
Yeah.
then like
Yeah.
and it's like some weeks I'm more free, so like I have more time to play. But like if
Hmm.
I'm not as free, I just have that like bare like minimum like bar or like threshold that I've set for myself. And it's like a really
Yeah.
good way for me to like just like stay active. And also it's just like for me it's like a socialization thing, right? You get to play with someone else, like it's super fun, and it's also like a break from like all of that school or like internship or like whatever work you're doing too, right?
Hmm.
For a gym, I really want to treat it like the same way. I think not only do I want to like improve myself in that aspect, but I also want to like start controlling what I eat better. I think sometimes, like, especially in exam season, like I am not
Yeah.
like I guess like the most like productive or like healthy person in terms of meals. I've been like
Yeah.
Ubering, I've
Hmm.
been Ubering food a lot, and like so that's why I want to like cook more, right? So like as I
Yeah, no,
cook
that makes
more,
sense.
I can like balance and change or like choose what I like put in my food. Since I have more control over that, I think it's better not only for like my like my physical health, but also like I they do say like you are what you eat, right? So like I think like it'll also be
Yeah,
better for
yeah,
like other aspects of my life too.
yeah, that makes sense. I think, yeah, I definitely agree. Like for me right now, being on internship, it's a lot easier to maintain a healthy diet again because it's more like consistent. Like on internship, there's no like periods of like midterms, exams. It's kind of just like the same throughout. And so it's easier to sort of maintain the routine and eat a healthy diet. Even when I was like midterm season, it's definitely not a priority to eat healthy. So, and even just like in terms of how much money I end up spending on food, not good at all. So that's something I need to work on too, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like really nice to just like you recognize that for yourself, and like since you recognize that, you also spend more time just thinking about it, trying to work past that. And I think that's like
Yeah.
something that's really important towards making like those changes. You
Hmm.
know, it's really inspirational talking to you about how there's so many changes that can be made. And I
Yeah.
think, after this fall, I might have to go. I might have to go to the gym. Start that
Yeah.
routine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Get a gym, bro. If you have a partner, it's honestly a lot easier to stay motivated because you just kind of hold each other accountable, you know. When I first started going, it was with a friend of mine, and then that's how I sort of got into the routine. But if you want to like get into it, that's definitely one way to go about it.
yeah, that's true. Because like I think it's always easier to do something when someone else keeps you accountable. So
Yeah. We were
I
just talking
think
about that.
yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
yeah, and so I'm hoping you can come back to London a lot sooner. Like, you can come to gym with me.
Yeah. No, it.
Yeah,
I'd actually be down in winter semester. That'd be pretty far.
yeah, of
It's
course,
just
of course.
the rec center is crazy busy though. Like it's
Yeah,
insane.
that's true. That's true. Yeah, I'm actually at Lux though. So like Lux has like its
Oh,
own
you're your
gym.
gym.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. So I think that yeah, I really want to be more consistent with everything, and I think that bringing up the idea about the gym buddy is really good.
Hmm.
I do think it's like I went to a gym with a buddy over the summer, and I was a lot more consistent during that time. I think over the
Yeah.
school like term, everyone just feels a lot more like, oh yeah, there's so many things to do. There's like more excuses for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I
And
want to make
also
sure everyone's
everybody
just
kind of has their own schedules.
exactly,
But
exactly.
when you can make time to go with somebody, I don't know, maybe it's better. But
Yeah,
yeah,
of course,
if,
of course.
yeah. I'd just say the number one thing is just being consistent, you know.
Mhm.
Like if you can go once a week, even that is just being consistent, so that's fine.
Yeah, that's true.
Hmm.
No, but it always reminds me of that one like Instagram like reel I see where it's like if you improve yourself by like 1% every day, then like
Yeah,
you'll see
yeah.
a difference the next year. Like I think
Yeah.
that really like shows through with like going to a gym where like so many people I know they start going to gym and like they just look so much more confident, so much more like they
Yeah.
feel a lot more confident with themselves and like I think it's
Yeah.
not really like about like them going about like the actual results or progress they see, but
Hmm.
it's more about the mindset where like you commit yourself towards like
Yeah.
bettering yourself. And I think that's like really
Yeah.
important towards like
Yeah.
everyone's like self-esteem.
Yeah. It definitely has a big effect on your mindset. There's honestly a lot of improvements for the gym because it's kind of something which is like you can't really cheat your way into. I mean, I guess you could take like steroids or something, but like
No, that's
even
true.
that is like you still gotta work, you know. But I guess my point is that like it's something that sort of just requires hard work, and putting in that hard work makes you hardworking in other aspects of your life too, you know.
Yeah, of course. Like I think I myself have also realized that mindset matters so much. Like
Yeah,
above all, you need like a positive mindset, like a mindset that
yeah,
like it's something like you don't want to like neglect your problems or like your hardships or whatever. But you have to be like, this is hard, but this is doable. And because
yeah.
it's
You have
doable,
to.
I'm gonna do it.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah. We talked about this
Yeah.
in the summer, and we are like, oh, like as long as you're sort of in an upward angle, then you're doing good. But like you just gotta make sure that you always are, like in
Mhm.
terms of like your long term growth.
Yeah, of course, of course.
Yeah,
I think like that's very like those are some very big inspirational words, and that was like really amazing just talking to you, Azam. Well, Azam, thank you for everything. I thank you for just being here, having this conversation with me, and I'm sure you'll also be very inspirational to anyone else listening to this. If you ever have, if you ever have to like ask someone who's in CS about gymming, you know who to go to. Um, and I hope you have a good semester interning at Hatch, and good luck with everything, especially what's coming up in the future.
Yeah, you as well for sure. It was a really good time.